When it comes to reviewing wins and setbacks, many of us fall into the trap of blaming someone or something, whether it's a team member, a process, or even just bad luck. But here's the thing. Blaming others does nothing to improve your results. In fact, it can make you feel stuck, frustrated, and, worse, it can blind you to the real lesson that could drive you forward. So how do we avoid blame and instead focus on growth? That's what I'm going to dive into in this video. Stick around till the end, because I'm going to share something that completely transformed how I approach setbacks and wins, and I promise it's something you'll want to implement. First, let's get one thing straight. Reviewing wins and setbacks isn't about assigning guilt or praise. It's about understanding what worked, what didn't, and how we can adjust for the future. I know, it sounds simple, right? But in reality, it's easy to let our emotions or frustrations get the better of us. That's why one of the first things I learned in my career is to always take a step back. When something doesn't go as planned, instead of blaming anyone or anything, I ask myself, what can I learn from this? It shifts your mindset from, this went wrong because of X, to, how can I do better next time? Now you may be thinking, but how do I prevent myself from getting caught in this cycle of blame? That's where something I call the neutral review technique comes into play. It's about analyzing both wins and setbacks without the emotional weight. Take a win, for example. Instead of saying, this worked because I'm awesome, think, what exactly about this strategy worked? What was the outcome? Was there something I didn't anticipate? By dissecting both the success and the setbacks, you start to see patterns that go beyond your own ego or frustration. Now, here's where I want to share a little personal story. A few years ago, I was working on a major project, and we hit a huge setback. At first, it was easy to point fingers. The team didn't execute this properly, or the deadline was unrealistic. But I took a step back and followed this technique. After analyzing the project from multiple angles, my own, the team's, and even the client's perspective, I realized there was a breakdown in communication. And that wasn't anyone's fault. It was a process flaw. From there, we completely revamped how we handled client communication. The next project was smoother, faster, and more efficient. That shift from blaming to learning is what made all the difference. So, how do you start implementing this in your own life? When something goes wrong, resist the urge to blame. Instead, ask yourself a few questions. What could I have done differently? Was there a part of the process I overlooked? How can I apply this lesson going forward? When you start asking these kinds of questions, you stop viewing the situation as a failure, and more as a valuable learning experience. For the wins, follow the same approach. It's easy to think success just happened because you're great, but even in success, there are areas for improvement. When something goes right, analyze what worked. What were the key factors? What can you replicate in future projects? Celebrate the success, but don't get complacent. The key is to always strive for improvement, no matter how good the outcome seems. One of the best pieces of advice I ever received was from a mentor who said, wins are just as important to review as setbacks, and if you're not learning from both, you're missing half of the equation. This advice flipped the way I approached every project. The key here is not to get stuck in the highs or lows, but to stay consistent in your ability to reflect and improve. And once you stop focusing on blame, you'll notice something amazing. Your mindset will start shifting to one of growth, not survival. Before I wrap this up, I want to leave you with something really important. In my career, I've found that the real game changer is when you stop seeing setbacks as roadblocks and start viewing them as necessary steps in the process. Wins and setbacks both teach us lessons, and if you can detach from the emotional reaction and focus on what's useful, you'll find yourself improving exponentially, both in your work and in your personal life. If this video helped you think differently about how to review wins and setbacks, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I don't do affiliate commissions or promote products with hidden incentives, so you know you're getting content that's 100% focused on value. Thanks for watching.